Most misfortunes do not arrive out of nowhere like an irresistible natural disaster. They come because you refuse to stop when you recognize the signs. Don't rush to blame heaven, and don't blame other people or circumstances, because the root of disaster often begins with our own stubbornness in the face of early warning signals. If you find yourself running into one bad thing after another, first ask yourself a ruthless question. Did I deliberately step into the mud even though I had already seen the danger sign ahead of time? There is a priceless asset that modern humans, through an excessive dependence on analytical tools and surface-level data, are gradually losing. Intuition, a sophisticated biological defense mechanism forged through millions of years of evolution. Intuition and the warning instinct do not operate on long-winded arguments. They do not require written proof or complex data tables. They are simply a quiet yet powerful voice in your head, an indescribable flutter in your chest that signals something is off, and their job is to keep you safe. Welcome to Inner Shadow, where there are truths society does not want you to know. Human tragedy lies here. We frequently ignore the protective wall of intuition because we are trapped in the snare of intellectual arrogance. You think you are smart, you believe in business plans, beautifully drawn on paper. You believe you can control the situation and assume those vague feelings are merely psychological weakness. And the result is that you throw yourself into a relationship where, from the very first date, your intuition already sent blaring red alarms about the other person's dishonesty or narcissistic traits. But you chose to fixate on the glittering exterior only to pay later with years of torment. You take a job where, at the very first interview, the moment you step into the office, you feel a suffocating, heavy atmosphere. The probing, unfriendly stares of long-time employees make your stomach turn. Yet because of the high salary, because of the company's reputation, you brush the feeling aside, and 3 months later, you collapse into mental exhaustion. You pool capital to do business with someone whose shifty eyes, evasive manner of speaking, or excessive generosity makes you uneasy. But because greed surges, because of the refusal to stop disease, because you fear being labeled a quitter or fear offending them, you shrug and keep going. And then disaster begins to smolder from that very moment of compromise. It must be stated emphatically. In these cases, bad luck does not come from destiny or from the stars that supposedly rule your fate. It comes from obstinacy, the fact that we refuse to turn back even after we have long seen the blinking yellow light. A truly smart person is not someone with a sky-high IQ, nor someone who never makes mistakes, but someone with enough emotional intelligence to know when to stop, to cut losses not only in financial investing, but also in the emotional and time investments of life. By contrast, blindly self-confident people are often the ones who walk into a dead end, smash their heads into the wall, and only then look up at the sky and ask, "Why didn't anyone warn me?" The warning was there long ago, in every puzzled frown of a partner, every restless night of sleep, every unexplained stomachache whenever you think about work, or every unnatural chill down your spine when faced with a too good to be true offer. Our bodies and subconscious are massive data collection machines. They register millions of microsignals that the logical conscious mind hasn't processed yet. And when they send pain or anxiety, that is when the data has overloaded and is screaming for attention. It's just that you don't want to believe those signals, because once you believe them, you are forced to act, to change. And human nature resists change, because change means hassle, tearing down and rebuilding, confronting uncertainty. If you would rather endure familiar suffering than face the fear of breaking the toxic habit that raised you, you will choose sugar-coated poison over a bitter antidote. No matter how harsh life is, it still generously offers you chances to turn back more than once. Emergency exits are always scattered along that wrong path. The core issue is, are you willing to open your ears to hear? Open your eyes to see? If you cover your ears and blindfold your eyes and barrel forward like a car with no brakes, then don't ask why the ending is so catastrophic. Etch into your bones a principle of risk management. Preventing a piece of bad luck at the embryo stage is better than exhausting yourself to deal with a pile of ruins afterward. Prevention is always better than cure, and the cost of fixing mistakes is always more expensive than the cost of caution. And if right now you vaguely sense you're about to run into trouble, that a dark cloud is hovering overhead, then don't wait until everything erupts into a storm before you finally wake up. A wise person lives by a seamless combination of sharp intuition and refined observation. They use intuition for direction and logic for verification, while a fool lives by rigid paper logic and the stubbornness of the ego. And the most pitiful, most wretched person is the one who knows everything is wrong, knows the ship is sinking, but still forces themselves forward only because they regret the distance already traveled. Because they've gone too far, they never dare to turn back. Psychology calls this the sunk cost fallacy, a flawed mindset that makes us keep investing in a losing endeavor simply because we have already invested too much into it. Remember, it is never too late to turn back. Never too late to start a new, more correct journey. The price of turning back today may be shame, may be financial loss, but the price of continuing into a dead end tomorrow may be your entire life. The question is, do you have enough courage to admit in the mirror that this bad luck didn't come from far away, wasn't brought by anyone else, but came from the stubborn choice of your ego yesterday, yes or no? To understand this mechanism more deeply, and to escape the label of vague spirituality, we need to view intuition through the lens of neuroscience and behavioral psychology. Intuition is not magic. It is a kind of high-speed logic. In the book Thinking, Fast and Slow by Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman, he analyzes that the brain has two thinking systems. The first is fast, instinctive, emotional. The second is slow, logical, calculating. When you meet someone and immediately feel distrust, even though they are neatly dressed and speak fluently, that is System 1 at work. It scans your vast archive of past data where thousands of faces, tones, and micro-gestures you've encountered are stored, then compares them with the person in front of you. If the subconscious detects a mismatch, for example, a smile that doesn't come with creases at the corners of the eyes, or an abnormal breathing rhythm, it fires a warning signal. Because this process happens in an instant, your conscious logical mind can't explain why. You call it a feeling. Our habit of ignoring System 1 and trusting only System 2, what we see and hear, promises, contracts, is precisely what leads to fatal mistakes. A typical example is seasoned investors. They don't just look at financial reports, logic. They also look at leadership attitude, company culture, and the energy they sense from the business. When they see a CEO overly polished in image, yet evading every tough question, their intuition rings the alarm about a lack of transparency, and they withdraw. Meanwhile, inexperienced investors often consider themselves purely rational, focusing only on profit figures, projections, illusions, and they rush in like moths to a flame. Then when the truth is exposed, they blame the market, blame bad luck, not realizing that the signal had been there from the leader's demeanor from the beginning. Also in Thinking, Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman tells the story of a fire captain. While fighting a fire in a house, he suddenly shouted, "Everyone out now!" The moment the team ran out, the floor collapsed. Later, when asked how he knew the floor was about to collapse, he couldn't explain it. He only said he felt the fire was hotter than usual and that the noise had gone strangely quiet. In reality, decades of experience had loaded his brain with data about the temperature and sound of a floor about to give way. He didn't need to reason. This temperature, plus this sound, implies the floor will collapse. His intuition short-circuited the reasoning and issued the retreat order. Our lives are the same. You don't need to be a firefighter to have intuition. You have life experience, and when intuition speaks, that is the fire captain inside you shouting. But sadly, many of us choose to cover our ears. Modern life, with too much noise and distraction, has dulled our ability to listen to this inner voice. We are too busy staring at phone screens, Too busy comparing ourselves with others on social media, too busy chasing society's imposed standards of success to the point that we forget how to connect with ourselves. We fear silence because in silence, naked truths appear. This relationship has been dead for a long time. This job is killing my creativity. This lifestyle is destroying my health. So we choose noise to fill the void. But that avoidance is fertile ground for the seeds of misfortune to sprout. A woman who endures an abusive husband often deceives herself that he will change. He's just hot-tempered for the moment. Even though her intuition is screaming every time she sees him drink, she uses logic to justify her fear of leaving, of starting over, when things go too far and cause irreversible harm. It is no longer tragic fate. It is the consequence of a chain of refusals to listen to survival instinct. Moreover, we must discuss the concept of opportunity and cost in making decisions based on intuition. When you cling to something wrong, a project, a person, a habit, you are not only losing resources on what is wrong, you are also losing the opportunity to meet what is right. Every second you spend arguing with someone unreasonable is a second you lose your own peace. Every dollar you throw into a hopeless project to recoup losses is a dollar you cannot invest in another promising opportunity. The person who knows when to stop understands deeply the value of finitude, finite time, health, and money. They do not allow themselves to waste those precious resources into bottomless black holes. They would rather be branded a quitter by shallow people in order to become a winner in their own life. Sometimes the greatest courage is not charging into battle, but having the courage to lay down weapons in a meaningless war to preserve your strength. That is, losing small to win big. A strategic mindset that only those who are truly seasoned and deep can understand. Returning to the idea of being smart, we need to redefine the concept. In the school of life, being smart is not knowing how to solve integral equations or memorizing historical events. Being smart is the ability to recognize patterns. Someone who has been deceived forms a pattern of a deceiver in the brain. The next time they meet someone with similar behavior, the brain matches the pattern and warns them. The fool will say, "This time will be different, don't lump it together like that." But the wise person will say, "I've seen this script before, and I don't want to watch the ending again." The difference lies in respecting data from the past. Do not belittle your scars. They are the most expensive lessons that built your intuitive system today. If you keep stumbling in the same place, falling for the same type of person, losing money in the same type of investment, that is not bad luck. It is laziness in extracting the lesson. You are living by the instinct of a wild beast that runs into traps for bait. Not the instinct of a hunter with a strategy. The universe teaches with immense patience. It will repeat the lesson again and again in different forms. The pain will intensify until you learn and change your behavior. If you feel life is pushing repeated obstacles your way, stop and ask, what is the lesson here that I still refuse to learn? So how do you sharpen intuition and avoid unnecessary disasters? First, learn to observe microsignals. Don't wait until the other person holds a knife to know it's dangerous. Look at how they treat service staff, how they talk about an ex, how they react when things don't go their way. A fake, kind person may hide behind flowery words, but they cannot hide their unconscious reactions. Second, focus on bodily sensations. When facing a decision, listen to your body. Do you feel light, open, or do you feel contracted, heavy? The body doesn't lie. It reacts directly to the energy of the situation. Third, and most important, accept the truth, no matter how harsh it is. Don't paint reality pink. Don't cling to delusions about someone else pursuing you. See things as they are, not as you want them to be. This clarity is the strongest shield to protect you from life's storms. When you live more realistically, stay anchored in the present, and respect your deepest feelings, you will see luck naturally smile on you. In truth, it is not luck falling from the sky, but the inevitable result of a chain of correct decisions. Choosing your friends wisely, choosing your work wisely, and choosing when to stop. Finally, remember that life is essentially a chain of consecutive choices, and each choice carries its consequences. There is no supernatural force with nothing better to do than haunt you all day. There are only cause and effect laws operating objectively and coldly. You sow carelessness, you reap accidents. You sow blind trust, you reap deception. You sow indulgence toward evil, you reap harm, and conversely. If you sow caution, sow deep listening, sow the courage to abandon toxic things, you will reap lasting peace and prosperity. Don't let your life drift by in blame and complaining. Take control of your destiny's ship by becoming a lucid captain. Know how to read the wind, know how to read the color of the clouds to avoid storms, and most importantly, turn the helm in time before crashing into reefs. That is the true attitude of a mature adult, someone who doesn't live by chance, but lives by grit and wisdom. Intuition, in the end, is the wisest teacher, the most loyal friend that creation has granted each of us. Our task is simply to learn to be silent and listen, and to have enough courage to follow that guidance so that every step we take in life is firm, steering clear of the swamps of belated regret. Trust yourself, because deep inside, you always know which path is right. The only question is whether you dare to walk it.